Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something pretty fundamental, really, the art of finding joy. We're going to be drawing on a lot of wisdom from Buddhist philosophy for this one. It's funny, we're always pushing for the next big thing, the next goalpost, but how often do we just stop and really appreciate the simple, beautiful stuff around us?
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle, isn't it?
Totally. So we're going to explore how maybe just a little shift in perspective can help unlock a ton of happiness just in everyday life. We've got some really interesting sources lined up, ancient Buddhist texts, modern interpretations, even some personal stories that really bring these ideas to life.
Looking forward to it.
Me too. So to kick things off, what's really interesting to me is how Buddhism kind of flips the script on happiness. It's not about reaching some far-off goal. It's more about realizing the joy that's already here now in every single moment.
Yeah, and that's a big part of what's so powerful about it.
It is. Because we're almost conditioned to think, okay, I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when I find the perfect partner, when I finally hit that goal, whatever it is. But what if instead of happiness being the destination, it's the way we travel?
That's a beautiful way to think about it, and that's really what Buddhist teachings emphasize. True happiness isn't about all those external things, all the stuff that happens to us, but more about growing that inner peace and contentment. And that starts with recognizing what they call the inherent value in each moment.
Inherent value. That phrase really gets me thinking. So what makes something valuable anyway? Is it because it's rare? Or because it's useful? Or maybe just
Beautiful. It goes even deeper than that. Buddhism suggests that everything has value just by existing. Because it's all part of this interconnected web of life, right? Every breath, every little sensation, every time we interact with someone or something, it's all part of this huge tapestry of existence. And when we can see the world through that lens, well, even the most ordinary things can become sources of wonder, sources of appreciation.
Okay, I'm starting to see how that shift in perspective, how that happens. But how do we actually experience that joy day to day? It's easy to talk about it, but how do you actually make it real?
That's where mindfulness comes in. It's all about bringing your full attention to the present moment, experiencing it without judgment. Instead of letting your mind race ahead to the next thing or dwell on the past, you just observe what's happening right now with curiosity, with openness.
So it's like hitting pause on all that mental chatter and just
Exactly. Think about something simple, like having a cup of tea. Usually you might gulp it down, thinking about your to-do list, checking your phone, all that. But what if you brought your full attention to it? Feel the warmth of the cup in your hand. Notice the smell of the tea. Really taste it as you drink it. Suddenly, it's not just tea anymore. It's an experience, It can bring calm, even delight.
I actually tried that recently. I was feeling super stressed, and I just sat down with a cup of tea and really focused on it. And it was amazing. It sounds so simple, but it honestly helped me feel more grounded, more present.
That's exactly it. That's the power of mindfulness. It's not about adding more stuff to your life. It's about experiencing the stuff you already do with more awareness. And that can make all the difference.
I'm totally feeling inspired to slow down and savor the little things. But before we go full on Zen, let's talk about another big piece of Buddhist philosophy that's tied to finding joy, which is gratitude. From what I've read, it's more than just saying thank you. It's about cultivating a deep appreciation for all the good in our lives.
You got it. Gratitude's like a superpower for joy. It's about actively recognizing and appreciating the good things, no matter how small. And the more we practice it, the more we notice those things. We're training our minds to see the good, even when things are tough.
So it's not about pretending the hard stuff isn't there. It's about choosing to focus on what's positive.
Exactly. Think about going for a walk. Instead of rushing to get somewhere, consciously notice and appreciate everything around you. Feel the sun on your skin, the breeze, hear the birds singing. Suddenly your walk isn't about getting from point A to point B. It's about experiencing the world, but through a lens of appreciation.
I love that. Makes you realize how much we take for granted, just going through the motions without really seeing what's around us.
It's like we're sleepwalking, missing all the beauty. But gratitude helps us wake up. And that's where true joy starts to grow.
That's a great point. We're not just talking about fleeting happiness, but about building a deeper sense of contentment and fulfillment that really becomes part of our lives.
This brings us to something really interesting. The idea of creating a joyful environment. It's not just about how we feel inside, but also about how our surroundings affect us.
I like that. So setting the stage for happiness.
Exactly. Think about your living space. Is it cluttered, chaotic, Or does it feel peaceful, inviting? Buddhism really stresses harmony and order. By decluttering, simplifying, surrounding yourself with beauty, it could be nature, artwork, things that have meaning for you, you can create a space that nourishes your soul.
So it's about being mindful of not just our thoughts and actions, but our actual physical space too. I like
Yeah.
that. But how do we even decide what sparks joy? What I consider clutter might be someone else's treasure, right?
Absolutely, it's personal. The key is paying attention to how you feel around certain objects or in certain places. Does something make you feel stressed or weighed down? Or does it lift you up, bring a sense of peace, trust your gut? And often, less is more.
Earlier, I was talking about that joy jar idea, writing down those happy moments. Could that be a way to create a joyful environment too? Like a visual reminder of the good stuff.
Totally, that's a great idea. A really tangible way to shift your focus to the positive. You could even categorize them. Kind acts you saw, beautiful things you noticed, things that made you laugh. It's about actively cultivating joy, not just waiting for it to happen.
Speaking of actively cultivating joy, what about rituals? In a lot of spiritual traditions, rituals are a big part of connecting to the sacred. Does Buddhism have rituals specifically for fostering happiness?
Yeah, but maybe not in the way you'd think. It's less about big ceremonies, more about bringing mindfulness, intention to everyday stuff. Think of them as joyful rituals. They can be simple, like lighting a candle, taking deep breaths before you start work, having breakfast while listening to your favorite music, or an evening walk under the stars.
So turning those ordinary routines into mindful moments, right? Not just going through the motions. I've actually found that even taking a few minutes to meditate each morning, just some focused breathing, changes how I face the rest of the day.
Perfect example. Creating those little pockets of peace and intention in your day. Moments to reconnect with yourself. And that brings us to connecting with nature, too. I know for me, being outdoors always helps me feel better. Is there a connection between nature and happiness in Buddhist philosophy?
Definitely. Nature's seen as a wise teacher in Buddhist practice. It embodies harmony, balance, interconnection, qualities that bring peace and well-being. Whether it's hiking, walking on the beach, or even gardening, being in nature reminds us we're part of something bigger than ourselves.
It's like hitting a reset button. Fresh air, sounds, sights, it all helps us de-stress and reconnect with that sense of wonder. That shift from feeling isolated and overwhelmed to connected and grounded, it's powerful.
So it's not just about enjoying the beauty, it's about recognizing we are part of nature. And feeling that connection brings gratitude and joy, naturally. It's like coming home to ourselves, in a way.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And this leads us to another important part of cultivating joy, the people in our lives. Buddhist teachings really stress that our relationships directly impact our state of mind.
So it's not just what's inside us or our environment, but the energy we surround ourselves with.
Exactly. Think about it. Who are the people that lift you up, inspire you, make you laugh? Those are the relationships that feed your soul, contribute to your overall happiness. And on the other hand, there might be people or situations that drain you, bring you down.
So recognizing those patterns and being more deliberate about who and what we let into our lives.
Yeah, it's about boundaries, prioritizing the relationships that bring joy and support your growth. Sometimes that means letting go of relationships that don't serve you anymore, even if it's hard.
So we've talked about mindfulness, gratitude, creating a joyful environment, the role of nature, and nurturing those supportive relationships. Like we're building this multi-layered approach to finding lasting happiness. But what about our thoughts, our beliefs? My own inner critic can really get in the way of joy,
That's so important. Often we're our own worst enemies. We get caught up in negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, unrealistic expectations that block us from feeling happy right now. Buddhism teaches that we have the power to choose our thoughts, and because of that, our feelings and experiences.
So instead of our thoughts controlling us, we can observe them, question them, maybe even replace them with more positive, supportive ones, like taking back control of our minds.
Exactly. Realizing our thoughts aren't facts, they're just, mental events that we can choose to engage with or let go of. And the more we practice mindfulness, self-compassion, the easier it is to cultivate that peaceful, joyful inner landscape.
This has been so insightful. We've explored so many layers of finding joy, from our internal state to our external world, even the power of our own thoughts. It's clear that building lasting happiness takes effort, attention, and intention in all parts of our lives. But before we wrap up, one question keeps popping up for me. If happiness is our natural state, like Buddhism says, why do we stray so far from it?
That's a great question. It really gets to the core of being human, I think. I think it's because, we live in a world that's constantly telling us we're not enough. Buy more, achieve more, look a certain way, be a certain way. And we get caught up in this cycle of striving, seeking that takes us further away from our true nature. Chasing a mirage, always reaching for something just out of reach.
And the irony is, the more we chase happiness, the harder it is to find. It's only when we stop pushing so hard, slow down, and turn inward, that we rediscover the joy that was always there, waiting for us. It really is like we're looking everywhere but inside for something that's been there all along. It's a powerful idea, especially for anyone feeling lost. But how do we actually break free from that constant chasing? Find our way back to that natural joy. It sounds so simple, but it can feel really hard sometimes.
You're right, it isn't always easy. But the good news is that capacity for joy, it's in all of us. It starts with awareness, being mindful of our thoughts, our habits, the messages we're always getting. And then we can start questioning those beliefs that keep us stuck feeling dissatisfied. It's like shining a light on those beliefs and seeing them for what they are, just stories we've been telling ourselves, maybe for years.
So it's like becoming aware of the stories we've built around happiness. And then once we start questioning those stories, we can start changing them. That's pretty amazing. It means we're not just stuck with whatever happened to us or what we were told. We can actually choose a different path.
Exactly. And remember, joy isn't a finish line, it's the whole journey. It's about showing up every day with an open heart, willing to see the good even when things are hard. It's about really enjoying those simple pleasures, appreciating the people around us, being grateful for what we have.
So for our listeners who are feeling inspired to try this, to cultivate more joy, what would you tell them? Where should they start? It can feel overwhelming to think about changing everything at once.
Start small. You don't have to change your whole life overnight. Pick one thing that speaks to you, whether it's mindfulness, gratitude, creating that joyful space, or strengthening a good relationship, and just commit to making it part of your day, every day. Consistency is key.
So 5 minutes of meditation each morning, or writing down 3 things you're grateful for every night, small steps that add up.
Those are great examples. It's about weaving those practices into your life until they're just natural. And be patient. Be kind to yourself. Cultivating joy, it's a practice, not something you perfect. There will be days when you feel it so strongly and days when it's harder to find. The important thing is to keep practicing, keep trying new things, and trust that the joy is there, waiting to be uncovered.
That's a great reminder. And it's important to remember, we don't have to do this alone. There are so many people who want to live more joyfully, more fully. Join a meditation group. Connect with people who get it. Read inspiring things. There's support out there.
I love that. We really are all in this together. And by supporting each other, sharing our experiences, and celebrating our wins, we create this ripple effect of joy. It spreads out, touches so many lives.
This has been a wonderful conversation. Our deep dive into Buddhist philosophy today has given me a lot to think about. It reminds us that happiness isn't something we have to chase, but a choice we can make, moment by moment.
It's been my pleasure sharing these teachings with you and with everyone listening. Remember, that path to happiness, it's always there. It's never too late to start cultivating more joy.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the heart of joy. Until next time, keep seeking, keep exploring, keep finding those joyful moments in every day.